You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. And remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance because you have chosen, consciously and conscientiously, to tune into the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore. And you tune in for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world, by the way, because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And you're going to be really amazed today. This is something going to set off rockets for you and really bring about a bountiful shift in your energy, because you're going to meet happy to say a friend of mine. His name is Peter, and just get ready for something truly wonderful. So, on our show, we discuss the three fundamentals of life. And these three fundamentals are, number one, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in this case, good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now this podcast is being carried around the world, hundreds and hundreds, over 390,000 people listening from all over the world, and it's being carried over the internet. Ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably they say it has to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. In our world, however, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHATA. And of course, the tip of the hat and a big thank you to Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, for enabling that song to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet with the word, with the what a wonderful world. And what do you do right away when you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world? You smile. You can't help it. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could have internalized, utilized, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right. Seeing miracles in life every day. So I got to tell you, I'm privileged to be able to do these webinars and talk to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I also do in-person events. Recently, I did one with 1,127 people. And I'm telling you a story about Barry Shore. I'm talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food to eat? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, just like you, completely hearty and healthy, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, completely, totally paralyzed from my neck down. Nothing in my body moved. And it was not from an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, which we never heard of the day before. It took over my body and rendered me what's called a quadriplegic. Nothing on my body moves from my neck down. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, and my ankles for years. And that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. powerful, positive, purposeful, and pleasant only because of one word. What's the word? Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. But I'm going to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me the other day and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. We're going to learn about that a lot with wonderful Peter. And it's about the idea of a shift in perspective. Just a slight shift in your perspective. Now, I got to tell you, I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. And 97.2% of all the people I work with, and I'm talking about very high achievers, they drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. You're going to be effing careful with your Fs. You want to shift your perspective just slightly, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and the trajectory. Now, before we bring on amazing, wonderful Peter, I want to warn him and everybody else that we do use a lot of 4-letter words. Now, of course, in our world, the 4-letter words that we use are love, life, hope, free, gift, play, pray, swim. And I even use the 4-letter FU word. I do it for the shock value, and it's fun because the 4-letter FU word that we use is fun. Fun, yes. F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, of course, some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. Fun spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger, have a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face. Remember that stands for say, F you, everybody. And add right away, capital N, capital N. I said, where'd you get that? So I listened to Barry Shore, and he wants to teach the world to F you. You'll get their attention. Then you can share with them some of the amazing insights that you're going to learn and hear from amazing Peter. But just before we bring him on, I want to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously from now and the rest of your life. Because you do this, you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. KIND is a fabulous acronym that stands for Keep Inspiring Noble Deeds. I can't think of anyone that inspires noble deeds that I want to share with you more than amazing, wonderful, fabulous Peter Cuneo. Peter, please say hello to 391,613 people around the world.
Hello to 396,000 people around the globe. I'm very happy to be with you, Barry, and with all of your listeners.
Woo! Those of you who are watching are in for a bigger treat than just listening, because Peter is the expression of true success in life. If I start reading you all the things that he has accomplished and does, it would take the rest of the show and even then some. I'm just going to highlight 3 things. Number 1, he's a great family man. Number 2, he understands and is devoted to service. He did it in the Navy. He's done it in every business he's been involved with. And number 3 is that he cares so much about building and growing businesses that he has become one of the most, if not the most successful business turnaround artists and experts in the world. As we say, he's 7 for 7. He has 7 championship rings that he can share with us. But the heart of it, Peter, is what you've brought about and learned in your decades of great experience. And let's just jump right in and talk about leadership, because that's one of the essence, I think, of your ability to build and turn around business. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Every business that I basically was challenged with, all 7, the essential problem in all 7 was poor leadership, and so that would be something that had to be fixed. Barry, today I have a podcast called Peter Cuneo. Well, you can go to petercuneo.com. My last name is spelled Cuneo. And basically, I interview proven leaders about their lives. They often talk about things I've never talked about before the podcast, like some of their failures, like what it was like growing up, and so on. And it's really a fireside chat between two people. It's very different than, as far as I know, any other podcasts on leadership that are out there.
I'd like to unpack a couple things right away. And again, those of you who are watching right now, and most of the audience, by the way, it does tune in. And because I always urge people, you want to listen to this 3 times. First time, don't take notes, just lean in and feel the experience. The second time, have your pen and paper ready or your computer and just take notes or watch. And when Peter said fireside chat, those of you who are watching, you see a fireplace behind him. And it's truly wonderful because he walks his talk. Everything about him is authentic and real. And that's really part of what makes this work. And anything and everything you want to know about Peter, and there's so much, just go to my website, barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE. Just go to barryshore.com. All the information will be there, and you can reference some of the remarkable, beneficial, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant information, inspiration, and transformation that Peter offers. So let's talk about this, what you just mentioned. We'll talk about in depth one of the companies, Marvel Entertainment, later. Right now, though, you said one of the essential aspects of a failing business is poor leadership. Can you articulate, because most of our audience is under the age of 30, and I'm really touched and humbled and honored that 22-year-olds and 24-year-olds are listening, because they want to do well in the world. They want to do well for themselves. They want to do well for others. That is a driving force. So tell us, what is some of the, let's say, 3 major ideas in leadership that can shift something from poor leadership into astounding, positive, beneficial leadership?
Well, Barry, every challenge is different, and every lack of direction and so on, leadership from people can be different. I actually have on the podcast 32 essentials for superhero leadership. These are one-liners. It takes you 5 minutes to read it. From my experience in life, it goes back to when I was a kid. It goes through my early high school and college. I started working when I was 23 years old. I then went in the Navy. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was an officer on a guided missile destroyer. I did 2 tours, and I certainly learned a lot about leadership in a combat situation. And I went after that to Harvard Business School and so on and so forth. And I didn't know, Barry, that I had any skills in turnarounds. The first turnaround I did, I was thrown into. I didn't choose it. My boss showed up one day and said, "We have a problem with our international division. You're going to take over." I was like, "What?" No clue. Never thought of myself as a turnaround person, as a fixer. That's really what I am. But Barry, I became addicted to doing turnarounds and fixing things because I'm addicted to, I get such a natural high from success through teamwork, diversified teamwork. My experience has been that diversified teams are far stronger than not. And I learned that first really in the Navy. I was on a ship with 300 sailors, 20 officers. Ship was 427 feet long, 47 feet across. Our guns could shoot 11 miles. 11 miles.
Phew.
We had nuclear tipped depth charges on board. We had all these things. But you had a diversity. It was all male, obviously, at that point. So this is Vietnam. But today the Navy is very, very diverse, and lots of ladies on ships now as well. But you had people from all backgrounds in the United States, all areas of the United States, all religions, all colors, all whatever. And they had to work together for survival. This is the key. They had to work, whatever hang-ups they brought about certain other people into the Navy, they had to get over, because they were dependent on those people that they might have thought less of because of their color or their religion or whatever. Okay. And I saw those feelings break down under the pressure of survival. You know, when you're in the military, believe it or not, people haven't had this experience, and I don't wish it on anyone. I don't want to see anyone in combat. I really don't. But if it happens, you quickly learn you're not there because of the American flag. You're not there for freedom, to free other people. Basically, your number one thought is survival, personals and group unit survival. And you are dependent on other people for that, and they are dependent on you. And so you get a diversity of people come together with a very serious goal in mind, and of course assignments, you know, to carry out successfully as well. And so that was I have to say that the Navy, my experience, I was in 3.5 years, made me to a large degree as a leader, because I was able to serve under some great Navy officers, and frankly, also had experience with a lot of great enlisted individuals, including Navy chiefs who actually reported to me.
Right.
Because they, you know, even when I was brand new Navy officer, didn't know much. They had 20 years in, but they were actually reporting to me. Of course, I was saying, Chief, what do I do next?
Right. It is something wonderful. And I want to unpack something for you that just, again, for people who obviously around the world in their 20s, God willing, will never experience anything close to what you did under combat. And you mentioned the survival word a number of times. And that is an ability for people to coalesce and become cohesive with a serious goal, as you mentioned. Because there's nothing greater in a goal to bring people serious than survival. And when one recognizes that you have an obligation to someone else, and that person recognizes they have an obligation to you, so it's a mutual process, now you can actually create what you've called a diversified team. Because not everybody is in it for the other person. Because without the other person, you can't be. Now, it's fun. I happen to be I enjoy reading books about history and specifically the Navy. And I laugh when you talk about the chiefs, because we all know that they're the ones who really make things happen. Doesn't matter what you wear on your uniform, it's the chiefs that really make the things happen. Now, of course, when you're working together as a team, now you can draw upon experience and leverage it. See, I think that the genius of Peter Cuneo, and again, everybody go to my website, barryshaw.com, because there's so much depth here, is we had this fascinating fellow named Archimedes who created the displacement theory, which allows ships to sail, right? Not sink. And he also said, give me a fulcrum and a lever and I'll move the world. Well, that's what you've done. When you build these teams, and as you mentioned, poor leadership does not create a team, right? Poor leadership creates fragmentation.
Correct.
Dissension.
Absolutely. And poor leadership. Look, leadership, effective leadership, and everyone has their definition of leadership. And I have a definition that's very simple, but the key word in the definition is courage. It takes courage to be an effective leader. Most human beings do not aspire to be leaders. And the reason is very simple. We as human beings basically like to be loved. We like to be liked by other human beings. If you're going to be an effective leader, you're going to have to make change, and that will upset people. Even, quote, good change upsets human beings because it's a change in their safety net. We as human beings all live in kind of a cocoon, or an eggshell. It's what we do every day. We feel pretty good about ourselves. We feel hopefully loved, and we like our job, and it's going pretty well. But leaders have a very fragile eggshell, and it gets broken quite often. It gets broken. Sometimes they make a decision, conscious decision, to break it. Okay. I've had to do this, for example, in several turns. We're going to announce that we're going to close manufacturing in the U.S. and move it to Asia. Now I'm breaking my eggshell and everyone else's. I'm doing it, though, purposefully. But there are times when unexpected problems arise, personal, professional, that you didn't plan, that also break your eggshell. And effective leaders are very good at handling those surprised, if you will, changes.
Well,
rather than hiding from the problems, they actually run at them.
okay, on that high note, because that's also about combat and such, running towards the action, not away from it. And on that high note, there's more Peter on the other side of this message. We have sponsors that love us, and we vet them. We wouldn't offer them to you if we didn't think they're worthy of your time and interest. So please think about using these products. And so we'll be right back after this brief message with more Peter Cuneo and courage. Good day, everybody. I have some great, wonderful news for you. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. Fasting? Healthy? That's right. However, it can be challenging. Not with Prolon. Prolon. Prolon is fasting with food. That's right. Fasting, and you get to eat food. It all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. You get snacks, soups, beverages, and it's all designed to activate your body's fasting state. It's like anything you've ever experienced. I must tell you, if I was going to start a nutrition program, Prolon is exactly what I would use. It's convenient. It's backed by Nobel-winning science, and it works. So right now, Prolon is offering the Joy of Living listeners 10% off their 5-day nutrition program. I urge everybody, go to prolonlife.com/Barry. That's PROLON life.com/Barry for this special offer. 10% off for listeners to the Joy of Living, because you like to live well, and using Prolon will help you live life well. So please go to prolonlife.com, PROLON life.com/Barry for the special offer. Do it now. You will thank me. I love it when you're healthy and happy and making a difference in the world. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Peter Cuneo. He is known around the world. Every major business organization like Forbes or Business Insider say he is the turnaround artist. He's the fixer. He's addicted to good, to success. And he's also told us that one of the essential elements of being a leader is courage, the ability to break the eggshell and live with the results. So Peter, on that high note, let's talk about your first business turnaround when your boss comes in. You say, okay, Cuneo, we need you. Here's your assignment. And you said, what?
So Barry, I'm going to be honest with you. I was depressed for the first 6 months. I mean, not clinically depressed, but I was down. I was questioning myself. What skills do I have to go into a business out of the blue? And this, by the way, was an international business. So this was not just a U.S. business. It was the international division of a business.
And a big business. We're not talking about $10 million in sales. We're talking about real money.
It was bigger than that. And, doing business in 20 different countries and what have you. And I'm not going to talk specifically about the company. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
The point is that, I will say that the business was headquartered in England. and I was living in New York City, actually in New Jersey, and I would travel. I commuted back and forth across the Atlantic. And after 6 months, we started to get results. And I realized, looking at it, that the only difference really was a difference in culture that I had instilled in the organization versus a previous leader. Culture, in my mind, by the way, every turnaround I did, the culture was wrong when I arrived. The value system was wrong. How people treated each other, what they thought was important or not important. Culture is everything. And I had, without being conscious of it, instilled a new culture in the organization. And part of that was listening to people and their ideas, particularly on new products. This was a business where new products globally were very important. Okay. And traditionally, the business had only taken the US ideas and tried to make them fit outside the US. I changed that. And I recognized that there were some great ideas coming from overseas countries for new products that would work in the US, not only in their country. And all of a sudden, people were empowered and were excited about coming to work. And they were seeing their ideas, they were getting rewarded by seeing their good ideas utilized around the world. And they suddenly, they saw that their opinions mattered to leadership. That was that first turnaround. I really didn't have to change anybody. That's not true of the next six. But there was a hidden strength there, in the organization that just needed to be, if you will, unveiled, let out of the box, if you will. And I wasn't walking around thinking I have a box or I'm going to let people. No, I was just reacting and I was using things that I had learned elsewhere, of course, in life. And we ended up having a tremendous success. And after I was in that a year and a half, then the company came to me and said, "Oh, we have a bigger turnaround for you in this other division." And only that one, day one, I was excited. And we had
let's pause here.
Another huge success over a year and a half.
Okay, let's put a pause. I want to mention a few things here that you meant. Now, Peter's last name is Cuneo, beginning with a C. Hello. And he's been talking about a number of C words that everybody should listen to. And again, I don't want you to write anything down. Just lean in experience. You spoke, of course, about courage, which begins with a C. You spoke about culture, which begins with a C. You're talking about being conscious, which begins with a C. You talked about change, which begins with a C. You see, the C words are so critical in the positive sense to success. And when you allowed other people to have not just their voice, but their ideas, you raised up, I'll take a Navy term, all boats rise up in a rising sea. And therefore, you opened up the greatest possible benefit in business, which is people. Am I right on that? People make all the difference.
People make all the difference in every organization. It could be business, profit, nonprofit. It can be, any organization. It could be political. It could be government. It could be religious. It doesn't matter. It's always about letting the people feel that they are valued and they are noticed. Even if you don't ultimately accept or go with their particular ideas, you with most human beings, that's all they're looking for. Take me seriously. Let me give you my ideas, and please listen seriously, and what have you. And okay, maybe you don't, for various reasons, on full evaluation, you don't go in a particular direction they were thinking. That's actually okay, because you listened and you took me seriously. One of the problems that I see today in a lot of businesses, and you mentioned young people in your, in the people viewing and listening, is that a lot of companies do not recognize in the way I've described. They're young people in an organization, and that's because we're lacking leadership in general in the world. You know, I do still give speeches all around the world. I've been everywhere over the years, from Beijing to Buenos Aires to every place in Europe and the US, Canada. And I talk about leadership. And today, Barry, I'm very concerned because young people, and I'm going to define young as age 30 and under, are not learning leadership. Where are our leaders going to come from in the future? And it's not their fault, by the way. There's no flaw in these young people. It's they're not presented with the opportunities to learn leadership. The way you learn leadership ultimately is face-to-face experience with other human beings, a diversity of other human beings, personal, professional, geographical, and so on. And through those experiences, you gain an instinct to how to work with people. And you can start learning leadership in a sense at age 4 or 5, believe it or not. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Because when I say that, most people say that's crazy. My kid who's 4 or 5, or my grandkids, cannot learn leadership when they're 4 or 5. And once I explain, they're nodding, yes, you're right. So it's all those combined experiences. But we're fighting a number of problems. One is the cell phone. Another are Zoom calls. Okay. They're valuable, no question. They're not going away. But by their nature, they reduce the amount of face-to-face real interaction. I get as much from sitting across a table live from a person, looking at their body language, as I do from what they're saying. And that's why I was in New York City yesterday. I live here in Connecticut, so I can take the train in, do this a couple of times a week, and I do it to meet new people. Yeah, I can get on a Zoom call. Barry, you're a little too far away, or
Right.
I'd be sitting across from you. Okay, but we're on other opposite sides of the country. But generally speaking, when I can, I really want to get to know someone face to face. You can't do that on a cell phone, and young people aren't shown the fact that people will say things to you on a cell phone or thing they'd never say to your face. You see, it's very impersonal in the end on a cell phone. And it's so bad that, we have young people, I hate to say, committing suicide because they were bullied and they have no defense mechanism. Okay. Another
So let me put you on pause for the moment and unpack a few things here, because we're getting really deep into beneficial, beneficent, wonderful, transformative processes right now for the people listening. Again, all over the world, so many different cultures, very diverse. Everybody that I get, thank God, texts and emails, all kinds of communication from people all over the world that listen to the podcast and love it. And they say, one of the things we love the American spirit. What's the American spirit? I can be anybody I want. I can do something. Peter, what you're sharing with us is the key, not just the American spirit, is human interaction, the P word, personal. Get as personal as you can in your life right now, because the opportunity to be successful is probably even easier today than it ever was, because there are so few people that are rising up and being leaders. In other words, the competition is much less. It doesn't matter if you have a degree from Harvard Business School and such. If you can't work with human beings, then you're not going to be successful. You work with human beings, guess what's going to happen? You'll be Peter Cuneo.
Barry, I say exactly that in my speeches, that
Oh, how
if
you
you
like
can
that?
learn leadership, you're going to crush it because you're going to have little or no competition. And it's work to learn leadership. It can also be, frankly, a lot of fun.
Well, that's the FU word. Remember I said in the
Yeah,
beginning of the show?
Like,
FU.
when I was growing up, and my mother gave me many gifts, but maybe the 2 biggest gifts she gave me is every day she told me I could be anything I wanted. And even I know when I got old enough, of course, I probably can't be anything I wanted, but it still got to me emotionally. I became fundamentally an optimistic person. And by the way, you can't be an effective leader if you don't have some measure of optimism,
The big O, we call
obviously,
it.
right?
Right.
So that set me up. The other thing that my mother and father gave me is we were raised, I have three siblings, I'm the oldest. We were raised with no prejudices. We never heard any negative about anyone, about their again, a color or religion or ethnic background or sexual orientation. All we heard was, hey, there's good people and bad people in the world, and you're going to have to figure out who the bad ones are. That's all we ever heard. Okay. And so I went into the world without those bags on my shoulders, the weight on my shoulders of these prejudices that some people have that make them unhappy and frankly make them less effective in life. And if you've grown up and you heard crap like that from the time you're born, it's very unfortunate. And there are people like that. But basically, um, anybody, again, your odds of being optimistic. I've met almost no one who's I call an optimist who had those weighting bags on their shoulders in life. How can you be optimistic if
You
you hate,
can.
if you hate or you think less of somebody else that you don't even know? One of the we will talk about Marvel in a little bit if you want, but I will say to the audience that maybe don't realize this. And they've all been exposed to Marvel and the films that we made and that kind of thing. But what makes the Marvel characters so successful? I'm going to talk specifically about the X-Men.
Okay, let me tell
Okay.
people what we're talking. We're moving into an area that's just going to make everybody happy and smile if you are not already, and you should be. First of all, Peter was raised, and I know where he was raised because I come from the East Coast also. I was raised in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was raised in Queens, New York, very similar types of background and such. And I also got that inheritance. The greatest gift that parents can give to their children is optimism, not just with words, but model it, and no prejudices. If you have that, guess what can happen? You can fly. You have no boundaries. You can be anything you want. So Peter he's 7 for 7. Again, he's wearing Super Bowl rings. One that really will get everybody on the show really fascinated is everybody knows and heard of Marvel Entertainment. So you never get old if you keep your marvels, right? People say old people lose their marbles. No, when you lose your marvels, then you're old. So you want to keep your marvels. So first of all, explain what Marvel Entertainment is and what you did for it.
Sure. So Marvel, which I think I'd be surprised if there's anyone listening that doesn't know Marvel and the characters, seen the movies, bought the toys, played the video games, and on and on and on. Okay. Marvel was in bankruptcy in 1999. And I was asked by the individual bringing the company out of bankruptcy, because had done my previous turnaround, I'd made him a lot of money as an owner. And he asked me to come and be CEO. And I didn't know anything about making movies or comic books. No, nothing, zero, which turns out to be a benefit.
I was going to say, it's nice to come in with a clean slate because no prejudices, like Mommy said.
And you see where there's craziness, and there's a lot of craziness in the world of entertainment, in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of things that actually make no sense. It's better today than it was back then, but there's still some of that. And so, at Marvel, basically, my model, if you will, in my head after 6 months on the job and learning everything, was what I call a wagon wheel. So the hub of the wheel is the intellectual property that you own or the assets that you own and control. In Marvel's case, Marvel had owned and controlled 7,000 characters.
Wow. 7,000?
Yeah. Now, some were in one comic book 30 years ago and never appeared again. Okay. And the A list, the top is maybe 12 characters at that point, which is more than enough. And so the spokes in the wheel are how you monetize. So when I came, we had a comic book business that was a strong spoke. The only other spoke we had was licensing, and licensing was very spotty. Call it a broken spoke. Okay. So we had 1.5 spokes when I came. Well, the rim of the wheel is a synergy between the spokes. Okay. So at that point, there wasn't too much synergy because there were only 2 spokes. Later on, we sold to Disney and we had 15 spokes. If you went to the movies, you might play the video games, you buy the toys for your kids. You might buy, your kid would be in a Spider-Man costume at Halloween, and on and on.
Wait a minute, I want to just point out Spider-Man, he's dropping names. Spider-Man, which literally changed the world for a while.
So yeah, I want to get back to what I was dealing with in the IP and the assets, because the Marvel characters were very special against competition, and the reason was a guy named Stan Lee and his editors, amazing people, from 1961 to 1965 created all those characters, major that we know now. And why they were so successful is they were flawed. They were flawed. And we as human beings, we as human beings could identify. And the one that I like to talk the most, but it'd be almost any character, is the X-Men. The X-Men were mutants.
Okay, let's hold for the X-Men for a moment, because we have people that love the show and they support all of this. And you're on the edge of your seats. Don't worry, Peter's coming back. Just a couple minutes. We're right back. Don't go away. This is so interesting and exciting. I love it. Be right back.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe a good-looking show is looking for and finding the good. Have we found good in abundance? Hello, Peter Cuneo talking about what he's been doing in leadership and creating teams and creating the ability for growth and goodness, and the X-Man, and the ability for our superhero to be human with a flaw. So talk to us about X-Men.
Because of that, and Spider-Man they're all examples. The Hulk, we can go down the list. These are characters that we could identify with because they had some big powers. In many cases, they couldn't handle the powers. They didn't. With great power comes great responsibility, and they didn't have the responsibility at first in many cases, and still don't in some cases. Some went to the dark side. But they were different. And so people feared them. People who didn't know them. The U.S. passed laws against mutants, against the X-Men, as an example, because they were afraid of them. And by the way, aren't we all a little afraid of people we don't really know till we meet them? Aren't we a little afraid of people who are, quote, different than we are? I mean, it's human nature, okay?
As you said, though, until we meet them.
Until we meet them. And we learn they're just like us, okay? And so every minority group, every kid in high school identifies with the X-Men. Okay, am I going to be popular? Will people like me? What do these people over here think of me? What does this clique, group of people like? Can I get it on the sports? All of that, it is totally natural for human beings at those ages to feel that way. And some may try to fake it and come across as, whatever. But the point is, we're all mutants in high school, in a sense.
Wait a minute. I love that line. We're all mutants in high school.
So
That's great.
Not just high school people, but everybody.
Right.
We all know we have our strengths and weaknesses, and you love learning, and we as Americans, and you talked on this, love people who overcome. We love underdog stories. We love movies, TV, books, whatever form it takes, even lyrics from songs that talk about human beings, male, female, whatever background, that overcome problems. There are ultimately heroes. And that, by the way, is the essence, to your point before, Larry, of the American dream, of what it means to be an American. We are independent. We like to think we can overcome any problem, personally and as groups. And we have, for the most part, overcome historically most of our problems. And that is America. To your example.
Wow. Wait a minute. What a high note. You just inspired me to write down an acronym, because we love acronyms. Remember, it's one of the three great parts of the human condition. For your name, Peter. Peter, in my humble opinion, stands for positive energy transforms everyone remarkably. Like you said, we're all mutants, and you've done that. I'm actually a little bit loath to say these words, Peter. Our time together is coming to a close. So I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
First question, will you come back again?
Yes.
Ooh, thank you. Second question, this is a little tougher. You have only 80 seconds to answer this, Peter Cuneo. What is your most fervent desire?
Well, I guess my most fervent desire, the things I work on right now, are that we start to develop good leaders in young people. And that's a whole big subject. We might cover it another time, because I think a lot of the listeners would relate. And what can you do? I have a list of 15 things you can do to learn leadership.
And again, right now, go to barryshore.com. You're going to share this with at least 5 people. And you want to do 50 or 100, it's up to you. But share this with 5 people. And we have over 400,000 people right now. Listen, well, that means we'll touch 2 million people. Peter's message is so profound, positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, because it's all about you becoming the best you possible. Peter, great guy, but it's not about him, it's about you. Barry Shore, yeah, what a fellow. About you, Y-O-U, you becoming the best you. And the third question, Peter, can I give you a hug in front of 401,222 people around the world?
Why not?
Okay, wow, there's good. Okay. HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3. And again, remember, this is the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore. Our amazing guest, Peter Cuneo. You know, in this show, we discuss the 3 fundamentals of life. These 3 fundamentals will make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. They are: number 1, life. Your life is purpose. Peter's been talking about that. Number 2, you lead a purpose-driven life. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to go mad. You're going to make a difference in the world. And the third is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. WWW. What a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in. Listen to Peter. Causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. When you do that, you have a shift in your perspective. Keep that F in place so the other stuff happens. And when you do that, you're able to internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever know. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond to any given situation show the path of your life and the trajectory. Use 4-letter words, the ones that we like. Love, life, hope, free, give, play, pray, swim. And yes, the F-U word. Tell the world to F you, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends. You have a twinkle in your eye, smile on your face. Tell everybody, F you. capital N, capital. Where'd you get that? I said, Barry Shore wants to teach the world to F you. And you'll say, well, what is that? Well, I learned about leadership. And go to barryshore.com. You learn so much more about Peter. So remember, use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. You'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Thank you, wonderful Peter Cuneo. And on that, we're going to give a blessing from Peter and Barry. The blessing is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Peter, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.